ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Enterprise Growth Awards. We request all our guests to kindly settle down as we are about to get started. If you're still outside the hall and can hear us, we request you to please make your way inside and settle down. Also, a reminder to please put your phones on silent mode. Just in case you need to make an emergency call, please do that by going outside to the pre-function area of this hall. Thank you for your cooperation. We'll get started in the next few minutes. evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Enterprise Growth Awards 2025. To get started, we have Mr. Mukesh from the Leela Palace, Chennai, joining all of us for security briefing. We request your attention, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very warm welcome behalf of the Leela Palace, Chennai. I'm Mukesh, Fire Production and Life Safety Manager. And we have an automated fire production system here. We have a PA system, sprinklers and smoke detectors. On this time, we are not going to conduct any kind of mock drills here. In case of emergency, on your right, we have an exit. We have a trained ERT numbers there. They will rescue to the assembly area point. So any doubt in this? Thank you, gentlemen. Have a nice day.
What a beautiful musical start to the evening. Thank you so much for that. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ritika Jhanji Chaktiani, and on behalf of Deloitte, it is an absolute honor to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the first ever Enterprise Growth Awards. It's a beautiful evening here in Chennai, and it's great to see this room filled up with so many leaders, so many visionaries, so many change makers. Let's get it all started with a good round of applause, please. Thank you. Now tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is really special. It's special because we are all here together celebrating the extraordinary businesses from across our country. The enterprises that are not just growing, but are transforming the industries that they are in. The ones that are shaping the future of our economy and the ones that are building lasting legacies. We talk about enterprise growth. Now, what is growth? Growth is not just in numbers. Growth comes from resilience. We all know it comes from building leadership, and it comes from the fearless pursuit of excellence that transforms a business from good to great, and then from great to iconic. And at Deloitte, we believe that at the heart of all this is a spark. Now, that spark could come from a moment of inspiration. It could come from a relentless drive of seeing your idea become from a simple idea to an unstoppable force of change, or it could come from pushing the boundaries relentlessly every day. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what our Enterprise Growth Awards are all about. So before we go any further, let's take a look at this very special audio-visual presentation. So this is an evening of celebrating a spark in all of you. It's an evening of celebrating you. Now, to get this landmark occasion started and to understand why this evening marks the beginning of something truly special, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I invite onto the stage the Chief Growth Officer of Deloitte South Asia, Devashish Mishra.
Good evening, Chennai. I welcome the chief guest for the evening, Sri Vijay Sankarji. I welcome the esteemed jury members. I welcome the winners and my colleagues from Deloitte and ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the inaugural Enterprise Growth Awards to the city of Chennai. And it is all called City of Firsts, a city which is known for its innovation and enterprise spirit. And it's our privilege to have the first Enterprise Growth Award in this city that celebrates the spirit of entrepreneurship, growth, and innovation. And as we speaking about what is this, this enterprise that starts with a spark, and we are today celebrating that spark. It starts with a vision, and it was, as mentioned, that it's a relentless execution, resilience, and all that. So, a couple of years back, we have this annual event for the Deloitte partners. It's called the World event. We had Jim Collins who had come there, and by then, this was a couple of years back. Deloitte was $65 billion firm, world's largest professional services firm. And we had come from behind and we had the maximum growth and we had become $65 billion firm. And Jim was asked, what now? So then Jim said, you guys just started. You may be the world's #1 professional services firm, but you have a long way to go. And he gave the example of Apple. He said that when Tim Cook took over Apple, Apple was a $300 billion market cap company. He didn't say that what next. He took in that relentless pursuit of growth, excellence, and everything. And by then, Apple had already become a $3 trillion company. So he says that growth is a mindset, and he talks about, he's the one who talk about, in 2001, he spoke about in that phenomenal book called Good to Great. He spoke about that flywheel. And that flywheel, he says that, once it starts moving, you continue to catch that momentum. But there are elements of the flywheel, and you need to have that relentless persuasion of small steps in making that flywheel move. And what I can see is that many of you, all of you have a unique story. And unique story which started with a spark. You have come till here. But the journey from here to that frontier is again very important. As India is starting on this journey of today $4 trillion economy to the Prime Minister's vision of a Viksit Bharat, all you guys will have a big role to play in each one of your industry, each one of your sector, in transforming the sector and industry itself, and you, as he mentioned, going from good to great to iconic. And today, we are celebrating this Enterprise Growth Award. It's not about an award itself, but also adding you to that ecosystem of play which will facilitate that growth. And we have the next thing is in another platform called the Best Managed Company. Again, the list narrows down. That's really the frontier of excellence. So I would encourage all of you this evening to connect with each other, make sure that we network and learn from each other, and celebrate that spark that started all your ideas and which has brought you till here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Debashish, for that inspiring start to the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Deloitte's commitment to private enterprise extends beyond borders, fostering innovation and resilience across industries worldwide. So up next, we have a very special video. We have global Deloitte private leader Wolf Tone sharing global insights on this evolving landscape. Let us all take a look.
I am honored to be joining you virtually for the Enterprise Growth Awards, which recognizes the private companies that are driving India's entrepreneurial growth. The theme of this year's program is Celebrating Every Spark, highlights those sparks of ambition and innovation that often ignite the first step of an organization's journey to long-term success. Congratulations to this year's winners. And I want to send a special thanks to all of our clients who are also being honored this evening. At Deloitte, we have the privilege of serving some of the most dynamic businesses, private businesses around the world, such as yours. Successful private companies are the backbone of nearly all economies today and the economies of the future. What you do is critical to the broader economies, but I believe what you do is even more critical. You impact our communities and society at large. Private companies are rightly viewed as the economic growth engines. Here in the US, they represent a significant portion of our gross domestic product. And practically any Fortune 500 company you can name got to start as a private company. This recognition isn't about your business success. It's a celebration of resilience, vision, and impact that characterizes successful private companies. The most successful businesses share common elements, including a clear strategy, a strong culture of innovation, strong governance, and the ability to adapt, which help them stand the test of time. You are the businesses that are shaping industries, creating opportunities, driving change, and redefining what the future of growth looks like. Once again, congratulations to all of you. You're all winners. Your journey is inspiring. I look forward to seeing what's next for each of you. Keep growing, keep leading, and keep making an impact. You are the spark to the Indian economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Wolf Tone, for sharing your global perspectives and taking our time in sending this video to all of us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce on the stage a leader who has been at the forefront of shaping Deloitte South Asia's vision for growth. Ladies and gentlemen, with a generous round of applause, please welcome onto the stage the CEO of Deloitte South Asia, Romal Shetty.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I also see some family members, so thank you very much for taking the time out and coming here. You know, I'm a big believer in India. I have, it's one thing that, you know, when people say that, what's your vision or what's your dream, I always say that I can change India. And people laugh and say, how can you change India? But I believe I can change India. I believe we can change India. And India is at that pivotal movement in its history that there is going to be a tipping point. There is going to be a tipping point when things become a little bit more easier. Just certain interesting statistics is that if you look at the last 30 years, India has grown 1,000% in terms of GDP. 1,000%. This is only next to China. Right? Nobody else has grown 1,000%. If you look this year, for the first time ever in the history, Japanese FDI into the country is more than Japanese FDI into China. But you look at the opportunity space, the opportunity is Japan has 36,000 companies in China. Japan has only 1,500 companies in India. So really, you know, there is a huge trajectory there. When we also believe, as we see, and you know, we obviously closely look at the economy as well, and I think we have an economist as well, so I should be careful of what I speak. But we do a project for the UP government, which is the $1 trillion economy project. So moving UP from a 240 billion to a 1 trillion economy. And, one of the things that I always believe is, if you can change UP, you can change India 100%, right? Because that is not the easiest state. But in our own evaluation, the economy in UP is actually understated by 0.5%. That means if they're growing at 19.5 or 20, they're actually at, they're actually at 20.5. And that's because a lot of the economy of India is informal. And during this whole GDP, GSDP calculation, certain things get missed out. But India is becoming much more formalized. Whether it is because of more women coming into the labor force, whether it is because of digital, the payments, all of our payments are happening through digital channels, we're getting much more formal. What does that mean? I mean, why would that be very important for you? Our analysis says that at $3,000, $3,500 per capita GDP, you will just suddenly start seeing a jump. And then at 5,000, you'll start seeing tremendous jump in terms of whether it's consumer spending, it's consumer behavior, all of that will increase dramatically. So we are in that very, very sweet spot. And, the videos that you saw, that clearly identifies that you are that spark. And for me, what is very heartening is not just the fact that each of you have surpassed the growth of your bench, of your peers, of your industry, right? But also that you have great governance. You also are contributing back to society, which I think is extremely important in a country like ours, because yes, you can be, very high growth oriented, but if you don't support, the country is not going to go forward. So a big round of applause to each of you, because it is truly, we've got 700 companies that we sent, chosen companies, and from that to have 33 is a phenomenal achievement. So really, again, a big congratulations to each of you. Now, a few things that I think are important as your next round of growth happens. India spends less than 0.6% on innovation and R&D. If you take the US, that's about 3.8%. If you take China, that's about 2.4%. So we really spend low on innovation. And, as Deloitte, we did a study looking at the 30 top companies in the world over 30 years. And we said, okay, what made these companies so iconic? That those and remember, this is before technology came into, before the Microsofts and the Amazons and the others of the world. So this is basically sort of, 1980 or, 1980 to 2000, 2010, right? So these companies were still a bit small. And what came out was all of them had a unique IP, which meant that unique IP means that it could not be copied, right? So everything can be copied, but it can't be easily copied, right? So that is one. Everything had a technology enablement there. So even hardcore manufacturing companies were technologically enabled. And third is scale. They could all scale up the idea. And if you come back now, the unique IP will come from innovation. And that's one thing that I would ask. You would be doing a lot of things, but do spend the time on innovation. And I was just talking today in terms of, just to give you an example, right, of new business models. And in our country, I'm not going to talk about, external foreign countries but if you take today, for example, Seat sells tire per kilometer to fleet owners. But they do it because they use IoT devices on their tires. They're able to then look at the demographics. They're able to look at which topography the fleet owners are, the driver is driving, the behavior of the driver itself, and then charging tire per kilometer pricing. So a dynamic pricing model. So completely new business model that didn't exist. So are we looking at that to say that are we being innovative enough to look at a new pricing model? If you look at, for example, Indriya, which is Aditya Birla's jewelry one. Today you can go and take a billboard picture, take a magazine picture, show it, and it will generate content to show you different kinds of jewelry within those designs that you've shown. Then you can add some silver, you can add some chrome. It will link back to the mold to say whether this can be manufactured, and then all in 5 minutes, and then you could probably pick up and say, hey, how do I look with this? So without a real jewelry piece, you can make everything done. But that is a new business model, because a lot of young kids will want to come and say, how do I actually look, and do I look good with this, right? And maybe should I buy this? So can we build these new innovative business models? In fact, you'll be surprised that even the government, people have spoken about, of course, UPI, Aadhaar and everything else, but even the government, so something the Goa government does, for a building plan, I'm sure all of you are aware, a building plan takes somewhere, in Goa is interestingly the most complex bylaws in the country. Though it's the smallest one, it has the most complex bylaws. Obviously marine and everything else is required, there are other things. But a building plan normally takes between 3 weeks to 3 months, just the plan to get it approved. Committee members are not there, quorum is not there, okay, there is one issue, you have to go back. Now a generative AI platform has been built where you can just put the plan, all bylaws of Goa is codified and it tells whether you're compliant or non-compliant. So you can then go back, change, everything can be done in a day, what used to take, for example, 3 weeks or 3 months. So even in that part, I think is very important. The second bit is governance. We do a study of different companies to see sometimes that, you have the same operational matrices, but one company is valued higher than the other company. And one of the key reasons is always governance. And I was so happy that in the jury especially was very, very strict on governance. It said any default in governance, so we had some others also who had high growth, but they refused. And this jury is, normally we keep quiet and they pretty much rule the roost. But governance is extremely critical as you move to the next $1 billion, next $5 billion. That is something that I would say, we sometimes see great successes and then great failures, but governance is one thing that I would say is really focused on that. Today, organizations don't compete. Today, ecosystems compete. So I always say that, as the idea that we are celebrating all of you and bringing you together is to also for you to figure out if there is an ecosystem and there is a collaboration between the set of people who have actually come here. There's also one more reason that I think collaboration and ecosystems are very important. And I say this story, my Deloitte friends would be really sick and tired of me telling the story, but I always want to tell this story. The story being that there's a village there's a town near the United States. Nobody seemed to have had a heart attack in 100 years, and suddenly someday one person had a heart attack. So everybody got surprised. How come somebody had a heart attack? So they went and looked there. They looked, and I'm making it in a very fast way, but they looked whether it is because of the air, it's because of, for example, the food that they ate. It's because of all different reasons. They exercise a lot. They then looked. So it was none of these reasons. Then they looked at genetics to say, okay, where are these people from? They found that all these people were from a place called Roseto in Sicily, from Italy. So they said maybe the Italians have better genes and that's why they're not dying, right? Or they're not having heart attacks. But people around in the United States from the same village, same place were dying. People back in Italy were also dying, right? Then finally, so everybody decided, you can't find the air, the water, nothing seems to be giving. Then the sociologists started looking at this and saying that, okay, what is this? So the sociologists started observing and they noticed a very community-based environment where people would go to each other's house, they'd go to church together, they'd have dinner together. So why am I saying that is you have more friends, you will not die fast. You'll all be, and so it's good from a business perspective, collaboration and ecosystems. And like I said, your ecosystem may not necessarily only be, your partners, it could also be competitors. If you remember, Vodafone, Idea and Airtel actually collaborated for the tower business. They were clear competitors, but they collaborated because it made more sense. Microsoft and Apple have actually collaborated with each other. It's interesting, while we always see different things, Tesla and others have also collaborated, while we only see the competition side, but that is also important. Now, a few things that I think are important is, I would think that embracing of technology, I think you've had a Gen AI session, but our view is with what is going to happen. So in the 1980s, there was this whole big philosophy on business process reengineering that happened. Now, with what is happening with agentic and generative AI, you will see that businesses will need to be reimagined. A classic case is, for example, Twitter. I'm not saying you have to do everything that Musk does, but and it's not that it's a perfect model. But today, Twitter runs with 20% of the workforce that it used to run. So from an efficiency perspective, and it's the way it's running, we may, disagree with him or disagree with whatever is happening, but he's running it to 20% people. Massive disruption is going to happen. So if you don't reimagine your businesses, you don't reimagine your business models, you will get disrupted. You will get disrupted. So the idea is, can you first disrupt before and embrace that technology in whichever area, whether you're in manufacturing, whether you're in services, whether you're in any other field. So I think that is one thing that I would say. Second is, in any company, as you grow, growth means that you are running so fast that you are actually, you're on a supersonic jet and changing things. You don't have time to pause. So when you don't have time to pause, it's very important that your top teams, your main leadership team is fully aligned. And that is a focus that you should have, that is your top team aligned? Because if your top team is not aligned, you will not achieve your goals. Third is, of course, keep simulating the environment. Simulation is extremely important because, what Trump is doing today may have long-term consequences. So and we've done our own research to say in the last 5 years, the amount of risks that have come are probably more than what has come in the last 100 years in different ways. So businesses can get very disrupted. And if you take 50 years back, in 1970, the skills that were required, or the skills that were in use in 1970, 95% of the skills are not required today. We are thinking about AI, Gen AI, agentic and others, which will disrupt other things, but actually that's the same that has happened in 50 years. So your businesses, your skills, all of those can get disrupted. And therefore simulate. Always simulate and keep thinking of scenario. And it's important to scenario planning, because if you do a good scenario planning, you're able to say, let's at least anticipate and figure out what we can do. And finally, of course, again, something that was very happy was purpose, your contribution to society, contribution to, I think as a country, we will always need that because otherwise the country cannot really progress. So, but it's important that the purpose is not only in the founders' minds, every person in the company knows what is our purpose, all right? Because that actually makes you, and purpose also has to have an economic value to it. Not, of course, there is a social value to it, but you can have a win-win situation. You can have a win-win situation by creating employment, but also ensuring that it helps you as well, right? So you can do that. So creating win-win rather than only one win is probably the way to go. So again, we, as Deloitte, we strongly believe in the India story. There'll be blips here and there, but from a long-term perspective, this country is going to go to places. And I think it's you, the job creators, the innovators, that who will do it. Finally, I hope that you also realize that that video that was played for you was an AI-created video. No humans involved. Too many humans involved. There are some humans, because we do think humans are important. But thank you very much. Hearty congratulations and fantastic, fantastic achievement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Romal, for sharing that powerful perspective and for masterfully steering this evening ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the most anticipated part of the evening, and that is the awards ceremony for the very first Enterprise Growth Awards. And to take this forward, I would once again request you, Romal, if you could please join us back on stage to present the awards. Ladies and gentlemen, we would also like to invite onto the stage, and with a round of applause, please generously applaud as I invite our honorable chief guest, Mr. Vijay Sankar, Chairman of the Sanmar Group, to the stage, please. We would also like to invite Debashish Mishra, Chief Growth Officer, Deloitte South Asia, and K.R. Sekar, Deloitte Private Leader, Deloitte India, to the stage for this presentation ceremony. Now Now, before we begin, just a word about the evaluation process. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been quite rigorous. Out of the 700 companies that were invited, there was careful consideration, and today, finally, we celebrate 33 outstanding winners. And also, I think it's important to mention that these awards are being given not in any particular ranking. So, before I get going, here's my request to the audience. Since the winners are today the real big winners, the ones who are leaders in making a change, please keep your applause very, very generous. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move on to the very first winner of this evening. Please put your hands together for the winner of the first Enterprise Growth Award 2025, and that's Aditya Auto Products and Engineering India Private Limited. Raman and Suresh S. Mihir and Suresh to receive the award. Congratulations, Aditya Auto Products Engineering India Private Limited from Bangalore. Thank you so much for being here. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we invite onto the stage the next winner, which is Automotive Axles Limited. We have Nagaraj Gargeshwari and S. Ranganathan here to receive the award. Congratulations, Automotive Axles Limited. Moving on, let us put our hands together and cheer for Kaplan Point Laboratories Limited. We have Dr. Sridhar Ganesan here to receive the award. Can we have Mr. Dheeraj Bhandari from Deloitte join us for the presentation ceremony? Thank you, Mr. Dheeraj, for joining us. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, up next, our next winner is Gabriel India Limited from Pune, and we have Atul Jaggi here to receive the award. And the next Enterprise Growth Award, ladies and gentlemen, goes to Imperial Auto Industries Limited from Delhi. We have Mr. Vikram Wagh here to receive the award. moving forward, many congratulations to Jackson Limited from Delhi for winning the next Enterprise Growth Award. We have Mr. Sameer Gupta joining us to receive it. Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, for joining us for receiving the award. Big congratulations to Jackson Limited. And the final Enterprise Growth Award in this set, ladies and gentlemen, goes out to Dixon Technologies India Limited from Noida. And we have Prithvi Bachani here to receive the award. Many congratulations, Prithvi, and to Dixon Technologies. Thank you so much to the presenters for doing the honors. I request you to kindly take your seats. A big congratulations to all the winners in this set. We will continue the celebrations going forward in the evening, ladies and gentlemen. But a very important announcement for all of you. Once we are done with the awards ceremony, make sure all of you, the winners, go with your trophies to our media wall, where our media partner CNBC TV 18 awaits you for your exclusive media bites. And we would also love to see these conversations that we have in this room and celebrations being carried forward to the social media. Would love to see your pictures with your awards, so make sure that you create some buzz on social media. But while you do that, please don't forget our hashtag. That is very simply Enterprise Growth Awards, and do not forget to tag us. That is Deloitte India. We also have a winners wall outside where we would love to read your inputs. That's a wall you could go and write what you feel tonight after being felicitated here. We would love to collate it all and read it post the ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, up next, coming up, is a very special chat, but before that, a very special audio-visual presentation. None of this would have been possible without the extensive contribution from our jury members. They brought their vision and their expertise to the evaluation process. To share insights into the jury process and the advice for emerging growth companies, we have a very special recorded message from our esteemed jury chair. That is S.D. Shibulal, co-founder and former managing director of Infosys. Let us all take a look.
It is extremely important for us to create role models. It's extremely important to showcase organizations which are performing better than industry in various dimensions. These awards do give us an opportunity to celebrate, to recognize and showcase companies which are doing well, which are showing results and which are run with very high ethical standards and participate in the corporate social responsibility. So if you look at the criteria which we used, we chose organizations whose growth is above industry average, whose profits are growing above industry average, and those who are showing very high standards, ethical standards, corporate governance, transparency, such matters, and participating in the corporate social responsibility. So these were the broad criteria which we used to choose the organizations. It was an extremely enriching experience. First of all, I should thank my peer jury members, Dr. Brinda Jagirdar, MD Ranganath, and Manoj Kohli. We had very interesting conversations, interesting debates, interesting disagreements, but we were able to conclude on a list after a bunch of conversations. It also gave me an insight into the entrepreneurial ecosystem in India. It is very agile, very competitive, very result oriented. At the same time, I clearly believe the organizations which we chose are of high ethical standards and showcase social responsibility. It is extremely important for us to recognize organizations which balance what I call profits and progress. Organizations have to scale, they have to generate profits, they need to have innovation. At the same time, they need to also create progress. You need to be extremely innovative, you need to be agile, you need to rethink your business strategies on one side. Create short-term results. At the same time, you need to have excellence in execution. So they need to participate in the social sector using their CSR opportunities. So it is extremely important for us to recognize such organizations. And this platform is all about recognizing such organizations.
Can we have a round of applause for the contributions of our jury members, please? A big thank you to Mr. Shibulal for guiding us through this entire process, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, we have a very insightful fireside chat coming up with one of the distinguished members of our jury whose expertise spans corporate governance and economic strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome on the stage Dr. Brinda Jagirdar, Independent Director and former Chief Economist, State Bank of India, in a very special conversation with Dheeraj Bhandari, Partner and Client Executive Program Lead, Deloitte India.
I'd like to thank, we fondly call her Brinda ma'am because she brought so much of experience to our conversations, and I don't know how many of you noticed the line that Mr. Shibulal mentioned, that there were interesting disagreements also through the conversation, so it was not like a very easy chat. And just to give you a view, the jury spent time with us without any limitation, right? So they went through everything in thorough detail and made sure that whatever decision they had taken was something that they were satisfied to the hilt. And only then they would allow us to progress. They made us go up and down multiple times, but yeah, we learned a lot. And with the benefit of having an economist and somebody who brings in so much of experience, I thought we will start with a question on economy, ma'am. How do you foresee corporate growth in India? And Romal also mentioned we are very positive about India and we are more emotionally positive and we say, yes, things will happen, but you are really somebody who understands this science, right? So how do you see that growth in the next 5 to 10 years?
Thank you, Dheeraj. First of all, I would like to thank Deloitte for this opportunity. And as Mr. Shibulal said, it was a great experience. We went through extensively. In fact, he was in Australia. It was 11:30 at night for him. And it has been a great experience. Coming to the economy, it took us 60 years after independence to become a $1 trillion economy in 2008. And then it doubled in 2014. In the next 6 years, it doubled. It would have doubled even faster, but for COVID. And now we are the 5th largest economy and poised to become the 3rd largest economy. I completely agree with the optimism that has been expressed by Mr. Romel and also Mr. Debashish. I completely believe that we can do it. Now, the latest data that came out, Q2 data was, growth was 5.4%, revised to now 5.6%. Q3, 6.2%. So Q4 will have to be 7.5% if we are to achieve 6.5% growth for the year. So as you can see, it's going up, but the thing is we can't be satisfied with this. Nothing less than 8% for the next 22 years, every year will do if we are to achieve the Viksit Bharat target of $30 trillion by 2047. So, your question was, can we do it? I believe we definitely can. We definitely can do it. And the backbone is manufacturing. And you are all here contributing to that, in that direction. Is there anything else you asked?
No, this is good. I think we have a lot of questions and I have little time, so I think we should go through a lot of those points. Brinda ma'am has actually seen different industries while she's been in financial services, but she's also director on manufacturing company boards also. So what are really the key drivers for sustainable business growth? We see sporadic growth, but what is really driving sustainable business growth?
Sustainable is very important if we are to continue that 8% growth. First of all, I would say is good ethics is good business. I think this has been echoed throughout. Ms. Shubhalal also said that, and everyone has said that. Good ethics is good business. That would be the first priority. And in fact, when we looked at the businesses of the companies, as you've heard just now, the first thing was this: how good are they in their corporate governance? If there was any doubt, any whiff of suspicion, then those companies were not taken into account. So first I would say is good ethics is good business. Second I would say is adaptability, because everything is changing and technology is changing so fast. Now, for example, I'll give you the example of State Bank of India. We were the largest, including the associate banks, the subsidiaries. More than 35% of the banking sector was with the State Bank. And in fact, we were also owned by the Reserve Bank of India till 2008. So look at the sense of entitlement that it gave the bank. But technology changed, new players came in, ICICI, HDFC, etc. And it was time to really make the bank also adapt. So Mr. Bhatt, you would have heard of him, and the way he came and transformed the bank. TCS was doing the core banking for us, and we had to change not only the technology platform and the processes, but also the mindset. And this is where there's a case study which says he made the elephant dance. And as you can see now, because of that change, because of that adaptability, and because everyone was in the vision of the bank was percolated down to each and every employee, each and every officer and the clerical staff of the bank. So therefore, we are the State Bank. I can't say we because I've retired, but still, it's difficult to take it out of me. So the bank is now again back it's in the forefront. So the second reason, like I said, is adaptability. And the third, I would say, is transparency. Because now here I will give the example of IDFC First Bank. When they were capital first, of course, they went through their rough patch, but they started growing again. And the AGMs would be like a celebration, like a function, when everybody was so happy and congratulating the management and the promoter. But then they decided to take up this, become a bank. And that's when things really tumbled on. But then because the promoter, because the chairman and the board and, the MD, he was very upfront and very transparent. He would bring everything to the board. He would talk to the investors. He would talk to the analysts. And so not a single shareholder left him. And more marquee investors actually came into the company. So I think it's very important to be open upfront, because you can't hide your NPAs in this quarter. Okay, you've done something, but the next quarter you can't, and then you come and you say, this is what happened. So nobody will believe you, nobody will trust you. So I think these are the important factors, besides, of course, excellence, constant learning, other things. But I would view these three things as most important for having sustainable growth.
I think I took two important takeaways. So how does culture, you mentioned, the State Bank of India, the kind of business they were in, believed to be entitled. So how did culture and innovation come together to influence, SBI's growth or any of the organizations that you've seen? You gave an interesting example of Capital also, right?
I think the underlying factor was corporate governance. So because it was the very high standards of compliance and governance, that's what really helped the bank to realize that, look, in this changed atmosphere, in this changed environment, if we have to move, then we have to adapt ourselves and train. So culture remained the same, and technology is what helped. So culture and technology, the very good combination, underlying corporate governance and good leadership. So this is what helped to transform the bank, I would say.
Thank you. In terms of risk management, right, especially sitting on a board, how do you foresee the future of risk management, largely because of the technology disruptions that we are seeing and also the global interconnectedness between different economies and different organizations?
Absolutely. Risk management is key. But then, so far, risk management was there. It's a separate department out there. There's a chief risk officer. That's no longer going to be the case. Risk management has to be embedded in each and every function, in each and every vertical of the organization. Because risk is not something which is separate from the business that you're doing. And so I think that it becomes a very integral part of your strategy and your business.
Another important aspect, and all of you stressed, even Mr. Shibulal, you also mentioned a lot about corporate governance, right? But when you say corporate governance, somebody who's sitting in the board, what are you really looking for? I heard words like transparency and things like that, but what exactly do you expect the companies to do outside of the rules and the textbook, whatever is written, right?
Comes back to culture, comes back to corporate governance, comes back to leadership. So it's that you have to be open and transparent, and you have to be very fair, because the stakeholders, you have to be fair to all the stakeholders, not just your shareholders or your minority shareholders. It's the society, it's the community which you are contributing to. So one of the things that was one of the parameters that was taken into account while evaluating the performance of the companies was not just the financial parameters of growth and profitability, that of course was important, but corporate governance. What is it that you have done for the society, for the community, which has helped the whole society to improve, and what impact has your progress made on your environment? I think that was a very important factor. And so if there were companies which had remarkable, say, outstanding, profit growth, but in terms of corporate governance, if there was some court case or if there was some fraud which was under investigation, then that was a strict no-no. So I think we need to really look at the path of, coming back to what I said originally, good ethics is good business. So we need to see how we can grow, but not just grow at any cost, grow in an ethical way, because this is the only way in which growth can be long-term and growth can be sustaining. It's not QSQT, quarter se quarter tak. We'll have to look at a long term, next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Last but not the least, any very special moments out of the jury session that you had? You did mention Shibu. Actually, Shibu logged in at 11:30 p.m. his time to make sure that he is part of all the conversation, right? Because he was in Australia at that day. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Yes, first of all, a hearty congratulations to all the winners. There were like more than 7,000 entries, but of course our work was made easier because Deloitte had already shortlisted and gone through 1 or 2 or 3 times. And all the jury members we met, I think we had 3 or 4 rounds of discussions, and we went through in great detail about the performance of each and every company. So it's very heartening. And it's a very good platform to celebrate the growth and the performance of all the companies. What I would say is that there are a lot of incentives. First of all, I would say yes, manufacturing is of course a backbone of the economy, and in that the MSMEs have a very important role to play, and which all of you are playing with such great, in such a marvelous way. But at the same time, while there are a lot of incentives to remain small, I would say, please dream big, please grow, because there are a lot of opportunities on the other side. So while you can begin small, please don't restrict yourself to be small. Please grow and make sure that we have enough multinationals in India which can compete, because as we are going to grow, we are going to become big. And more companies will be, and we'll be facing the world. So we also need to have that kind of core competency to face the world. So I would really encourage, I'd be very, very happy to see many of these companies to become Indian multinationals going forward.
So thank you so much for your time, and really look forward to speaking to you again after the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Brinda, and thank you, Dheeraj, for sharing your perspectives on what truly defines lasting growth for enterprises. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, at Deloitte, the purpose is at the core of what we do. We believe in empowering businesses, in empowering communities, the larger ecosystem, as we contribute to nation building in our own Deloitte way. Heartland is Deloitte's initiative to skill, uplift, and absorb talent from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, creating pathways for young professionals to thrive. Today, these professionals are making an impact across industries and transforming their careers and communities. So we would like to showcase a heartfelt short glimpse into our Heartland initiative. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another segment of the awards. Now, success is best celebrated when it's etched in time. So as the winners of Enterprise Growth Awards, you made a mark in the industry, and it's quickly now getting time to get into the next segment. Once again, I request all of you, our presenters, to please join us back on stage for the presentation ceremony to continue. Can we please have you on stage, please? Just as the energy of our music this evening, we'll hope you'll be as energetic, ladies and gentlemen, as I announce the next winner of the Enterprise Growth Award. And this one is Prithvi Exchange India Limited from Chennai. And we have Pavan Kumar Kaur, Kalpesh Kaur, and Jaya Prakashya to receive the award. Many congratulations, Prithvi Exchange India Limited. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to celebrate the next awardee, which is Rane Holdings Limited from Chennai. And we have Padmanabhan PA and Anand J to receive the award here. Congratulations, Rane Holdings, for bagging the coveted Enterprise Growth Award. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Team Lease Services Limited. And we have Ramni Dathi and Ashok are here to receive the award. Ms. Ramni and to Team Lease Services. Next up, it's time to celebrate TVS Credit Services Limited. We have Ashish Sapra here with us to receive the award. Can we also have Shelvin Matthews? Do we have Shelvin Matthews here? Many congratulations to you once again. And the next Enterprise Growth Award goes to Vikram Solar Limited from Kolkata. And we have Vivek Chaudhary here with us to receive the award. Congratulations to you. And the final award in this segment, ladies and gentlemen, goes to Walkaroo International Private Limited from Coimbatore. We have V. Noshad and Nashita V here to receive the award. Walkaroo, huge congratulations to you. Thank you so much to all the presenters for doing the honors. I request you, ma'am, to please take your seat. In just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have another very insightful conversation on this stage. But before that, we would like to showcase something very close to Deloitte's heart. You know, innovation is at the core of everything we do. So we would like to take you through our state-of-the-art innovation facility at Bangalore. Let us all take a look. Actually, talking of innovation is just a perfect note to introduce our next leader on stage, whose name is synonymous with innovation, governance, and corporate excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our esteemed speaker, let us all welcome on stage Deloitte Private Leader, Deloitte India, K.R. Sekhar.
Good evening to everybody. I'm a little bit feeling nostalgic about this function today for two reasons. Reason number one, Chennai, which is my home city, where I studied and grew. And second, I am proud to have Mr. Vijay Sankar, the chairman of Sanmar Group, where I started my career. If I know this much of tax and values, the credit goes to Sanmar Group, where I began my career. Thank you, Vijay, for being here. Thank you so much. And Vijay Shankar needs no introduction to many of the industrialists, but Sanmar is being so close to my heart, and Vijay is so close to my heart, I need to talk about Vijay and the Sanmar Group. You will not be seeing any paper, anything with me, because day in and day out I follow Sanmar and the team. Vijay Sankar is born in an industrial family of entrepreneurs and philanthropists. His great-grandfather was the one who started the India Cements way back in 1930s, when he found a limestone at Kalidai-Kurichi near Tirunelveli in Tirunelveli. And then they were the first people to start the Indo-Commercial Bank way back in 1940s. And later on, Punjab National Bank acquired as a part of the bank nationalization. And his grandfather, Mr. K.S. Narayanan, was one of the great visionaries of industry. He was the chairman of India Cements and Sanmar Group. And Vijay Shankar is a son of an illustrious father, Mr. N. Sankar, whom in those days in 1980s and 80s, late 70s and 80s, he was called as a turnaround artist for the way he turned around the Industrial Chemicals and Monomers Limited of those days, Mature Chemicals and Industries. I can keep on talking about those companies he turned around. And he was one of the earliest person from Tamil Nadu who was chairman of Assocham. And he was one of the, Sanmar was the earliest groups which entered into joint venture and alliances. And Mr. Vijay Sankar stepped into the shoes of Mr. Sankar, and he became the chairman of Sanmar Group at a very young age. Sanmar Group today has got business in chemicals, engineering industry, Sanmar Shipping Corporation. And Vijay took the Sanmar outside India to Egypt, Mexico, and other countries. And he's a great sports enthusiast like all his father and grandfather. People who follow cricket knows Sanmar is synonymous with Jolly Rovers Cricket Club, which has been ruling city Tamil Nadu First Division League for almost 4 decades, if I'm right, Vijay. And many of the Indian cricket players have represented Jolly Rovers, and I was fortunate enough when I was working in Sanmar, I rubbed with Robin Singh and Bharat Reddy on the other side. And that showed me a cricket passion. And Vijay is also like his father, currently holding Vice President of FICCI, and in the year or two, he will be the President of FICCI. And above all, Vijay is also sports enthusiast. He is the Vice President of Tamil Nadu Tennis Association. As well, he promotes sports, cricket, chess and tennis. With these few words, may I welcome Vijay to the dais for a brief interactive session with me, Vijay. And please give a big hands to Vijay. Many thanks, Vijay, for being here. Thank you so much. May I ask with a simple question, Vijay? All questions are simple, but just start with a very simple question. You stepped into the shoes of your great father, grandfather, and everybody in the family. And you belong to a family of a successful businessmen and philanthropists. How did you feel at the beginning, and what are the challenges that you would have faced? Normally when, you know cricket, when some son follows the father, like Sachin Tendulkar follows Arjun, or Arjun follows Sachin Tendulkar, Mohinder Ramanatha follows Lala Amarnath. So you would have had the challenges, and what are the two challenges that you had, and how did you overcome it?
Good evening, everybody. Firstly, I'd like to thank Deloitte, Shekhar, Romil, everybody for inviting me to be a part of this function. Congratulations to all of you for also hosting this Enterprise Growth Awards. I think it's a recognition of India's entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial culture, which I think has got long ways to go. And I'm particularly pleased that the emphasis, I think, not only by a jury member whom I had a chance to interact with, but by everybody I've interacted with here, the focus on governance and ethics. I think that is something that's, I think, will make this award very special in the years to come. So many congratulations and thank you. To your question on stepping into father's shoes, it's interesting you mentioned Mohinder Ramanatha and Lala Amarnath. I just happened to be reading his rather voluminous autobiography, and not yet through it fully, but the challenges that he faced when, as the son of a very, very illustrious father. It's actually quite interesting, being a cricket enthusiast, I would suggest you read it. But the only difference, and I was a big fan of Mohinder Ramanatha myself, but the only difference I would say is the gap between Mohinder Ramanatha and Lala Amarnath and myself and my father was very large. My father was somebody who academically was, interestingly, he never spoke about it, but he had 2 double promotions in school. And he was always a standout performer wherever he went, whether it is sports or the academic field. So it was a difficult sort of shoe to fill. But I think he gave me the confidence to do it. He always encouraged me. But one thing he made very clear when I joined the company was, he says, this is a company built on the shoulders of professionals. So, you have to earn your stripes. And for many years, if there's an argument between you and a professional, it's the professional who wins. Don't push it beyond a point, because if it comes to choosing between you and the professional, I will choose the professional. So that was the one thing that always stood out when I joined the company very early. And I think it has stayed with me ever since as well.
Great, Vijay. In fact, that was my experience when I worked in Sanmar Group, which is still continuing. Great, great, great. Can I go to the second question, Vijay?
Absolutely.
It's a very exclusive to Sanmar, what you have done. It's one of the best professionally managed company. And it's one of the few companies in India who have Sanmar Corporate Board. And in addition to that, you have also, each company have got the board of directors. What is the reason of Sanmar Corporate Board, and how did it occur to you, and how did they derive the value out of the Sanmar Corporate Board, Vijay?
So in 2004, we had a mix of listed and unlisted companies in the group. We were always fairly diversified, and we continue to be diversified as a group with presence in many sectors. And Mr. Shankar, my late father, always felt that we needed to have a standard of governance across all the companies in the group. And of course, the listed companies did have the benefit of being part of a listed environment, but not so the unlisted companies. And he felt the need for a common Sanmar, board approach to all the companies. And in 2004, he also was embarking on a further process. While it was always professionally run, he was embarking further on the next step of separating ownership and management. In fact, we stepped off many of the boards at that point in time. And we've decided to form the group corporate board, of which the family, which was a significant promoter in all the companies, was a part of. So that's the origin of this. Though it added another layer of governance, it never caused any extra pain, because for us, governance, as with many of the companies, I'm sure in your audience, it's an innate part of our everyday workforce, of our DNA. So it didn't add a layer of extra work, but it added a layer of extra governance and I guess opening our eyes up to what is going on in the other parts of the country with the esteemed professionals that he had. And the second thing was, Mr. Shankar always felt it important to have the best professionals as part of the board. So it was not people who would say yes to him, but rather people who would question him. In a nice manner, but always question him. That was his key, construct when he was putting the board together. And he always felt if you had great professionals, I'm sure, like Romil or yourself, people who are outstanding chartered accountants, outstanding lawyers, outstanding engineers or chemists, you would get the best value from these people and, giving them the space to speak. So that was something that was always innate to us when we formed the board in 2004, and we've had it for all these years since.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for that. This is the next question that coming out of your interview, which I read when you became a chairman. And knowing Sanmar, it's always the torchbearer of values and governance. You said in an interview somewhere, if I'm right, in 2019 or 2020, you said value first, growth second. So how do you reconcile, or how do you align the values and growth, Vijay, in an organization like you or any organization?
I think we heard when Ms. Brinda speak about it, finding a right balance between values and growth is important. I think growth is necessary. I think, let me state that up front, for any organization, because without growth, you will sort of not be able to attract talent. You will not be able to provide a purpose over a long period of time. So growth is important in whatever shape or form. But I think it has to be couched in a proper value system-based environment, at least how we've always grown up thinking. So, going back to Mr. Shankar, my father, when I was growing up in the company many years ago, he would always say, whatever happens, and as I said, they were professionals and there were very few family members. There was nobody, in fact, except perhaps him and me, nobody in management. And so it was completely run through professionals, and they had the space. But he always said every single professional in the group must sleep peacefully every single night. Yeah. So he says whether you sleep peacefully or not is not important to me, but the professional needs to sleep peacefully. So that was really the only watchword that we were left with, and that necessitated a framework of strong value systems and governance. And I think reconciling between that and growth is a daily challenge. But I think we've always taken a call that if there is a tricky situation, or on the side of safety or of value-based approach towards that dilemma. There will be dilemmas every day. But I think if you want to sleep peacefully at night, as you always are on the side of taking a value-based approach to a particular dilemma, I think you will come out well. That is at least what we were grown up thinking.
That's a fantastic line, sleeping peacefully.
Absolutely. Very important.
Very good line. Vijay, this next question is also, again, after reading your speech or watching your speech in the recent past on R&D. And I'm also aware you and I discussed about the R&D and promoting the ecosystem. How do you see the role of R&D and innovation in shaping up the business in India?
Yeah, I think even Romil spoke about R&D. I think, this is, I think, a dilemma that our country, I think, is facing currently. As was said, we spend as a country 0.8% of our GDP on R&D on a base of, 3 trillion or 4 trillion, so maybe about $200 billion, $20 billion. Whereas if you look at China, on a base of, on a GDP of $15-16 trillion, they're spending 2.2%. So they're spending close to $300-400 billion, almost 20 times in an absolute sense as to what India is spending. Yeah. I think this is, in my view at least, R&D is a lead indicator, and it's something that we need to over-invest in as a country that needs to achieve the GDP growth rates that ma'am and others spoke about. So I think it is an area that I think should concern every Indian as to how we need to take this number up. The second is the productivity of the R&D spend. I've been reading this book, and they speak not just about the absolute number, 0.8%, which is not bad. It doesn't put us below many of the other developing countries, but not at the level of China or the US. But it's also the productivity that comes out of this 0.8% that we spend, which I think on a benchmark basis does not seem to measure up as to the level as where we really should be as an aspiring country that wants to get to Viksit Bharat. I think this is an area that I think country we need to perhaps focus on.
Very good, very good. Now that we have become a vice president of FICCI, so in another couple of years, you'll become the heading of the FICCI as an organization. And you have got a passion on R&D and various other matters, and you are also very keen that India should create a great ecosystem for R&D, which is your thought process. What do you think the role of advocacy in India, and let me know how Deloitte can help you on the advocacy for you in FICCI, as part of FICCI.
No, I think that's a great question. I think, advocacy, unfortunately, in India or in many other parts of the world has had a bad name in many ways. But I think advocacy is an integral part of a developing country, especially as government needs to, I guess, hear the voice of industry. Yeah. Perhaps transparent manner, in a manner that is non-biased.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I'm very careful of when I wear the FICCI hat is, how do I don't wear my company hat. That's something that I'm extra particular about. But I think as long as you present the needs of industry, I think government wants to hear it. So even in our pre-budget session, post-budget session, when we had a chance to interact with the finance secretary, with the revenue secretary, everybody asked us at FICCI, please tell us what does industry need. So I think government is extremely open to suggestions, to ideas. This is a complex country. It's a complex journey to go to Viksit Bharat. But I think the government, and it needs change, and the government, I think, is cognizant of the fact that it needs to change at all levels. But I think they're very open to suggestions, and how we frame it appropriately, take the time, spend the time in Delhi. So I think that is important to ensure that we get your voice across. To your second question on how Deloitte can play a role, I'm certain you have vast resources, not just domestically, but also what you see from your other peer, I guess, Deloitte bodies across the world as to what other countries have done. I'm sure there's lots of opportunity to work with Deloitte on this front. I'll certainly reach out to Rommel and you on seeing how we can work with work at
Certainly, Deloitte support FICCI is assured. And we have Jigil Thakkar, Debu, me, Rommel, all of us are there, all the leaders are there. Our support is assured to you, Vijay, as FICCI. The next subject, which is very close to me as well as to you, sports. And not only you won the cricket club, you won one of the fantastic turf cricket grounds in Chennai, which is equivalent of any international standards, IIT Kemplast. And I know Sanmar promotes tennis, and you also promote chess. With so much and you had a fantastic cricket players, national cricket players playing for Sanmar. So much of passion on the sports. Where do you see sports as an industry in the days to come, Vijay, as a sports enthusiastic? I know very well you are not doing sports for valuation purposes, but leaving the valuation aside, where do you see sports as an industry in the days to come?
I think I'm probably not the right person to answer the question on sports in industry, because I think, as Mr. Shankar would always say, we have promoted sports very extensively for 60 years. I think perhaps the longest association between a company and a particular team, which is, like you said earlier, Jolly Rovers, we've supported it with no financial gain.
I agree.
Likewise with tennis as well, we've supported tennis for over 50 years. We sponsor the Sanmar TNTA Tennis League, which celebrates 30 years this year. Long association, we have almost 800, 900 players playing the league across 5 divisions here. So it's purely done out of passion. I think sports is a great outlet. I've seen my father both play tennis actively every day. After work, he would leave at 4:30 sharp and play his tennis or play cricket. I think it's something that was a great de-stressor and something that I think provides the right level of competition, ability to talk to others outside your business environment. So I'm not the right one to answer on sports as an industry, but I think it's more out of passion and something that we follow personally.
Very good. The other point connected with CSR, which Shibu and Brinda talked about it. And I know Sanmar started CSR much before a mandatory provision under Companies Act. I'm part of some of the initiatives when I was working with Sanmar, because I was one of the teachers of some of the institutions that Sanmar had at that point of time. and you recently inaugurated a VHS by IIT Director Kamakoti. So what should be the role of corporate on the social side, and how do you believe the corporate should play a role apart from the mandatory CSR 2% contribution?
So just a second on the CSR mandatory 2% contribution. I was at a conference in the US, and a professor in Wharton was speaking about it, and of course it was a large multinational audience. He had no clue that they were Indians, but he did state that this is one area where India, with this 2% mandatory requirement to spend on CSR, it was viewed as a big negative. Many companies said, why are you forcing us to do this? But it is quoted globally as something that is truly unique and ahead of what other countries do. As far as Sanma goes, like you said, we've been supporting our social initiative activities well before CSR became a buzzword. But I do want to add one comment to what you said. We focus a lot of our CSR on healthcare. But I think it is important that the spirit also be continued. And I know glad that you're recognizing all the companies who are one of the criteria that you have is contribution to CSR, because I do know that it's that there are some companies who find ways around it, find ways to not spend the 2% appropriately. Yeah. So I'm very glad that your criteria has a 2% appropriate spend on CSR. And I think, that the spirit, it's not just the law and the rule. I think the spirit of how you spend it, not, find some ways to skirt around the law, I think is very, very important. So I'm glad that you've instituted that and governance as key parts of your criteria.
Thank you, Vijay. In fact, Deloitte, one of the core, though we are LLP, we are not mandatorily required to contribute to CSR, but our CEO is very clear that we should support society. In fact, we have multiple programs. In fact, Romal is one. You would have seen people sending greetings after we made, but Romal sends a unique way of greeting where he plants the tree and puts it in your name and sends it across. That's what Romal way of doing society. That's our way of doing it. But before I go my rapid fire questions, just rapid fire questions is 3. I just wanted to check with you, what would be your advice to all the next gen entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs, Vijay?
I think India is really the place to be. I think I can't advise any entrepreneur. I need to learn from them. When I come here and interact with them, I hope to learn from them rather than impart advice. The only thing perhaps I would add is, I think again validated by what your Growth Awards criteria has brought out, is focus on governance and ethics. Yeah. I think that is really important, and starting it at a very early stage rather than say that we'll worry about it when we raise external equity or when we get listed. I think that will, that's a stage much later. I think that it's difficult to change your DNA at that stage. If you incorporate good quality, good systems, processes, governance, and focus on ethics at an early stage in your growth journey, I think it will be much easier for it to stick with you when you grow up and, you encounter challenges, as I'm sure most organizations will. So I think it's the only not advice, but only thing I would say is from my own experiences, adopt it very early.
It falls in line of a thing I read in one of the interviews of yours, where don't try to create valuation side, but create a long and sustainable organization. That's what you said in one of the interviews, if I'm right. Absolutely. I think that's right. Okay, I'll just go my rapid fire questions. Simple questions once again. Your favorite sports, cricket, tennis, chess?
I think it's not certainly, between cricket and tennis, I love watching cricket, but I think playing tennis is always
playing tennis. Who's your favorite tennis player?
I think it's been Federer by far.
Roger Federer by far, okay. When you get free time, what would you like to do? Listening to Carnatic music in Music Academy, Stoke Nardagana Sabha? No. Reading books, spending time with family, or none of the above?
No, it's both 2 and 3. Between books and family, I think that's what I do.
So Music Academy is far from... Though distance where it is closer, but far for you.
No, my wife is very passionate about music, so okay. she edits music journal as well, very so good. That's her passion.
That's the reason I asked this question. Okay, the last question. If God comes before you and asks you, you can ask me only one boon, and I will give you, what will you ask?
That's a difficult one. I guess good health for everybody, me and my colleagues, and allow us to, not stray from our chosen path.
Fantastic, Vijay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
May I give a big round of applause to Vijay. Thank you so much, Vijay.
Thank you for having me, Shekhar.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sekhar, and thank you, Mr. Shankar, for that fabulous conversation. I think this has been an evening full of insightful conversations and well-deserved celebrations. So it's time to move on with the celebrations. But before that, just so that you do not forget, very importantly, ladies and gentlemen, make it a point that you go with your award trophies to our media wall, where our media partner CNBC TV 18 awaits you. We'll make sure to collect your exclusive media bites there. And also, very close to that is our winners wall, where we would love to have all of you leave your signature just as a memory of this beautiful evening that we've spent together. And with that, it's time to finally turn the spotlight on with the final segment of winners for the very first Enterprise Growth Awards. Once again, I request all our presenters to kindly join me back on stage. Dr. Brinda, if you could please join us back. All of you to come forward a bit and more towards the center of the stage. All right, we begin the final leg of the awards ceremony. It's time to cheer for Texmaco Rail and Engineering, and we have Mr. Sudipta Mukherjee here to receive the award. Many congratulations, Mr. Mukherjee and Texmaco Rail and Engineering. The next one goes out to Indegene Limited, and we have Suhas Prabhu here to receive the award. Congratulations, Indegene Limited, the winner of Deloitte Enterprise Growth Award 2025. Moving on, it's time to celebrate Aptus Value Housing Finance India Limited. I request Mr. P. Balaji to please join us on stage to receive the award. Many congratulations to Aptus Value Housing Finance India Limited. Let's keep the applause going as it's time now to honor Tega Industries Limited. We have Pratik Basu Roy here to receive the award for Tega Industries Limited. Thank you, Mr. Roy, for joining us, and many congratulations to you. Up next, the next award. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it up for BVG India Limited. We have Patrick Vijay Kumar, V. Vinod, and R. Ranjit here to receive the award. Patrick, and big congratulations to you and to BVG India Limited. And the final award for this evening, ladies and gentlemen, let's put as much energy as we can. This one goes out to ASK Automotive Limited. We have Kuldeep Singh Rathi, Prashant Rathi, and Aman Rathi here to receive the award. Many congratulations to you. Can we have a huge round of applause for all the winners of Enterprise Growth Awards 2025. A big thank you to all our presenters for doing the honors. Ladies and gentlemen, these winners are the ones who've had the courage to dream, they've had the vision to lead and the ambition to grow. And to give this evening a befitting closure, it's my privilege to invite onto the stage Shri Ram Parthasarthi, partner Deloitte India, to please share closing remarks.
Good evening, everyone. In fact, I wanted to kind of thank each and every one of you for making this particular event really a grand success. In particular, the winners, the jury members, the industry leaders, and above all my Deloitte colleagues. My special congratulations to winners. Tonight is about recognizing the vision, the resilience, and the leadership that drive India's private entrepreneurs forward. One, in terms of specifically on the winners, behind the winners tonight is a journey of challenge and probably the bold decisions that you have taken and the opportunities that you have kind of leveraged. That makes a big difference in terms of winning an award like this. As Deloitte, we are very, very privileged to be part of this journey, and our commitment goes beyond just a recognition like this. Probably, I think our commitment will continue to provide insights, networks, and beyond all the things that probably we are looking at right now. As this event is happening in Chennai, I want to actually quote a famous Tamil poet, Bharadiyar, where he said, "Ayudam seivom, nalla kagidam seivom, ஆலைகள் வைப்போம், பள்ளி சாலைகள் வைப்போம், ஓயுதல் செய்யோம், தலை சாயுதல் செய்யோம், உண்மைகள் சொல்வோம், பல வன்மைகள் செய்வோம்." I'm just translating for the benefit of all of you. In fact, he dreamed of a vibrant India 100 plus years back, where he wanted to kind of make sure that India becomes number one in each and every field, in building factories and building schools, and with the kind heart and also with the humbleness. That's what actually he dreamt of, and I want to thank each one of you for making his dream real and also practical. Once again, many congratulations to all the winners, and may the spark we have ignited today continue to fuel our journey going ahead. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Shri Ram Parthasarthi, for delivering the closing remarks. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to finally draw curtains on this very, very special first ever Enterprise Growth Awards 2025. This evening has not just been about celebrating your achievements, as he said, it's been about celebrating the sparks that ignite transformation. And may we carry this forward on our road ahead, and may we continue to spark and light the way forward for generations to come. Thank you so much for joining us. A big round of applause for everyone, and all the winners and presenters. I request you to please join us on stage for a group photograph, please, possibly with your award trophies if you want. Let us have you all on stage, please. I request all the Deloitte leaders to please join him on stage for the group photograph. Now we request all our guests to join us for dinner. We have a specially curated menu of regional delicacies. We would love for all of you to savor that. Thank you so much once again. Have a very good the rest of the evening.